The 12 rocks of well-being are all of the neuroscience of well-being, all of it, all of the detailed research and all that stuff. We have distilled it as a company into 12 daily behaviors that very, very basically, if you do these 12 things every single day, your brain will thank you, your body will thank you, and your mind that's projected will feel better. And it's just as simple as that. Hello, and welcome back to One Brain at a Time. I'm your host number one, Adam.
And I'm your host number two, Andy. Hello, what's going on? It's Thursday morning and we're feeling good today. And we're about to do a podcast again, like we do every single week. My son, what's going on?
I love the energy. Can you tell that Andy is about to go on holiday?
Oh, mate.
He's about to go to Greece. So, spoiler alert, this episode is recorded on the 2nd of April. So, by the time you're hearing this, a bunch of stuff has changed. Andy has not only gone to Greece, he's been in Greece, and has actually returned from Greece in all this time.
Well, in foreshadowing of that, I'm upset to be back. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So the day you're hearing this, Andy is very depressed.
Yes,
he's very sad.
Sure.
He's sitting there going, "Man, I wish I was in." Where are you going?
Yeah.
Rhodes, right?
We're going to Rhodes. We are.
Which I was on a lie. I was actually. Are you a Lilo person? Because I feel like you're a Lilo person.
Or okay, not to be too self-deprecating. I'm a little bit more heavy set than I used to be. Right, I'm on this sort of all-inclusive for Rhodes, right? So that's a bit of a problem. But after that, I'm going to be really strict. And I've done some do's and don'ts in the week and all that sort of jazz. Because when I work from home, I'm just an absolute grazer. I'm like a goat, mate. I just eat way too much food, man. It's ridiculous. So I'm going to be really strict when I get back. So to answer your question, Lilos are problematic for me because I can't really get the purchase to get on them, and then the weight distribution's all over the gaff.
Yeah. But would you like to be a Lilo person?
I think I would, mate. I think I would. I think in a public, in public pools, like hotel pools, the idea of just one geezer just on a Lilo, like with everyone, is a bit odd.
I like it. I think you'd fit that vibe. And I can imagine you with a little glass with like a little a kind of parasol in it, you know, the little...
Yes, mate. Yeah, a nice little wedge of pineapple with a parasol. Yeah,
mate, I'm jealous I'm not there.
Yeah, man, that's true. And the weather looks like it's been horrible over there this week, but it looks like it's on the upturn when we get there. Fingers crossed.
It's your arrival that they're like, okay, we've got to sort this out now.
Put the sun out for us. That'd be nice.
Very
yeah, man. How are you though, my friend? What's going on with you?
Very good. And not to, I think if we were to actually start a One Brain at a Time bingo card, this would be on there as well. My marathon is next weekend, 12th of April, Sunday, 12th of April. So by the time you're hearing this, I can't walk.
You will be the day after.
Amazing. It will be the day after or the week after. But by the time you're hearing this, I would have run, hopefully run a marathon again, which is, I know I bang on about all the time, but this has been the hardest one I've ever done because a bunch of stuff happened in my life that wasn't unrelated to running, but also I've been injured like 3 or 4 times in this marathon process. I literally started training for this thing late January, so I've had like 6 or 7 weeks to get from doing 3 5Ks a week to running 42 kilometers on a Sunday. So hopefully it's gone well.
Humble, man. He's going to absolutely smash it. You are very naturally talented at this, and I think and you have trained really hard, mate. Like you have trained really hard in the moments where you can, and your body's feeling like up to it, and you're not hurting yourself. Yeah, man, you're going to absolutely kill it, mate. And he also will be so humble. He won't say that Brighton is notoriously, for you listeners, you budding runners out there, Brighton is notoriously really, really difficult, man. It's hilly. It can be really windy. Like it can be a real challenging. The London. My brother's about to do London. Yeah, I live for him. He's about to do London, and he's so flat, so much flatter. And the geezers that have done it have said it's so much easier. It's just so much more of an even kilter, and it's just much more forgiving on the old knees and ankles.
Yeah,
and Brighton's just an absolute savage.
Brighton it's a tougher marathon. It is a tougher marathon, I think. Although I haven't done London, I must say, and also I think the heat in London would be unbelievable because Brighton, you have the wind actually. Although depending on how bad it is, don't know at the time of recording this, obviously what the weather's going to be like. But the wind can be quite cooling, and that's quite helpful. But in London, you've just got the heat zone potentially, and
the hundreds of thousands of people spectating.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I want to do London at some point, but yeah, so that's good. Hopefully, that all goes well. But it feels like the end of a chapter. in terms of at least
Yeah,
rambling on about it. And I think it fits quite well into the theme of last week's episode with Fantastic Alice about talking about running and the
definitely.
community of that. And I think that, yeah, I don't know. I feel very reflective on this Monday morning that I'm not recording on. I'm recording previous to the Monday morning. I'm just thinking about where I'm gonna be on
For
that day
sure.
because I'm speaking to you right now from the deload. This is the best bit. I get to eat absolutely everything
Yeah,
I want, and I'm
for
not running
sure.
very far. It's
Yeah,
This is why you run marathons, people, for these 2 weeks before the
these
marathon,
two
because you
weeks.
just like, oh, I get two pizzas on a Thursday, carb loading. That's what it is.
Is it carb? Is that what
It's
you
carb
got to do
loading.
now? Is
You
it?
just got to eat. I don't think a coach would say you should carb load for 2 weeks, but I don't have a
Hey,
coach right
man.
now. What are they going to
Yeah.
say? I'm going to say I'm going to do what I want. As a firm believer that the only point of running marathons is to tell people about them, run Brighton Marathon 2026 with me.
Agreed.
Coming to you live from the start. This is Bartek again, as you know. I'm going to try and record this vertically, but I'm going to be very tired, so no promises. But yeah, it all pays off today. Here's Bartek at the start. Warning, I'm about to be very, very, very red in the next clip. 10 km, actually 11 km now. I've walked worse than I feel. I lost Bartek to the toilet. We're running through Kemptown now on a slight incline, which isn't ideal, but feeling pretty good. Okay, let's dive in. So
Look, mate.
we talk about we wanted to recap something we talk about all the time on this show, but we've made an episode the night before. And if you've worked with Action Your Potential or worked with us together at any point, you've heard us talk about the 12 Rocks of Wellbeing. But because we've got a growing audience, we wanted to kind of recap on what the 12 Rocks of Wellbeing are and kind of how they work and yeah, kind of what's going on with that stuff. So to kind of simplify it to start with, the 12 Rocks of Wellbeing are all of the neuroscience of well-being, all of the detailed research and all that stuff. We have distilled it as a company into 12 daily behaviors that very, very basically, if you do these 12 things every single day, your brain will thank you, your body will thank you, and your mind that's projected will feel better. And it's just as simple as that.
100%. One, it's you might as well end it now. But that's very lovely and concise. But I think he's Spanish coffee, everyone. That's going to be
Choke
my
on that
goal,
one.
man. Forgive my
Oh,
colleague for spewing over his laptop, mate. So
that's not
yeah,
that's not on video. I'm telling you that for free.
so yeah, the 12 rocks. What I think is so I'm gonna elegant about them, right, is that I think the most powerful thing about them is when you do them, we always say you're not going to click your fingers and automatically, if you're in a negative headspace, you're not going to automatically feel amazing. That's just not going to happen. That's we've done the woo woo voodoo episode where like you're trying to debunk some myths, right? A myth is that you do these things, you're going to feel instantly amazing, and you know that's not always the case. I always go back to the whole adage of you go to the gym, you're going to feel better for it. You are. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be walking home, skipping and jumping and buzzing. Like you
For
will
sure.
get the benefits of that over the habit forming process, over that period of time where you are doing it consistently, just because of the way that the reward system and the triatom works and all those sorts of things. But in terms of doing the 12 rocks, you will make difficult times easier by doing them. And that doesn't necessarily mean you can still be in a negative headspace. You can still be sad. Circumstances, experiences that happen to you that are challenging, you will still find those challenging. But the way that the 12 rocks strengthen certain parts of your prefrontal cortex, those insight circuits that we harp on about, the way it strengthens those helps us manage that worry system in a much healthier, more effective, efficient way. So it's crucial that you do this for yourself in the eventuality that you have a darker time, you have a difficult period. That's going to happen. So you owe it to yourself to do the right habits and behaviors to overcome that time better than you could ever imagine because you've habit formed, because you've done the right things every single day. And it's just so important that we make that distinction. It's important to know that you're not going to feel amazing straight away, but over a period of time, you will feel more alert, more awake, you'll feel more content, you will feel more purposeful, and you'll have a greater sense of self pride and worth by doing these things. And that is a neuroscience fact, baby.
No, exactly right. I think that's absolutely smashed it. I think yeah, it doesn't make every day perfect, and
For sure.
it would be a falsehood to claim that. And some places that talk about well-being do claim that will fix your life and you'll be happy eternally. And we've talked about this so many times that your brain doesn't care about happiness, really. It's just an upsetting fact to realize, but your brain cares about survival. survival, in fact, is probably heightened by being scared, anxious, and lonely because it means you're not going to put yourself out there in case of any threats. You know, you're actually at your safest in the corner of your bedroom. You know, physically anyway. Obviously, but that's not a nice experience to be in. So well-being is about doing certain things every single day to give yourself the best chance of feeling good. And the science shows that doing these things every single day will make you feel better consistently. And it's not about, you know, you can have great well-being but still be having a bad time. And I think that's really, really important to understand is you still need to do those things that you need to look up that are really good for you, even when you're having a difficult time. So without much further ado, let's ram the 12 rocks down everyone's throat.
Do it.
So number
Do it.
one, we mentioned this a couple of weeks ago on the episode. We did a whole episode on it, and we will do a whole episode on all of these rocks at some point. Don't worry.
Yeah,
But rock number
we will
one
do that one.
is sleep. And
It
brief
is.
recap on what sleep does. Kind of everything. It's insane. One of the main things it does is it kind of cleans your brain out. So when you're thinking throughout the day, your brain produces kind of toxic proteins, toxic byproducts, and these kind of sit on the synapses, on the connections inside your brain, and this can create fogginess in your brain. One of the many things sleep does, and I am simplifying sleep here, is cleans that stuff out. So you wake up with a cleaner, fresher brain. If you do not get at least 6 hours, but ideally 7 or 8 hours, your brain is not going to wake up having been cleaned sufficiently. So it's going to be foggy, you're going to have headaches, you're not going to be able to focus as much the next day, you're going to have less attention, less memory available. Sleep is fundamental. You need to sleep more. Fantastic.
Yeah,
Round of
for
one.
sure. It is. Not much to add there, really. It's exactly right. It's, we've all had it. Literally every single person, what a shared common experience that we'd all go through of having a lack of sleep. And, you know, I think people will often associate higher stress, higher, things on playing on your mind before bed. And it feels like a common perception that our worries will be heightened in the half an hour when we're trying to get to sleep. And that there is a real case for that. And, there are certain ways to overcome that. And one of them is by reading. You immerse yourself into a different world. You try and take your creative mind wandering network into it and give it a bit more focus and energy into something more specific. So just trying to find what your sleep hygiene is, what works for you. Does it having a shower, doing your teeth, that having a clear routine in that sort of sense? Does that help? Making sure that you're physically active during the day to tire yourself out, that will help. And just trying to almost sit above your thoughts in your head and trying to understand that worrying about things before bed is something you cannot control in that very moment. So trying to relinquish that and understand that the best thing for me to do right now is when I've got this difficult meeting tomorrow, instead of stressing, threatening about it in this moment, the best thing I can do for myself, for my immediate wealth of happiness and contentment and sort of general feeling of feeling on top of things is go to sleep, have enough sleep. I will feel refreshed and ready to do that difficult meeting the next day instead of threatening about it in the moment. Um, you know, it's important. Sleep hygiene.
It's number one. And I think that, yeah, it's rock number one for a reason. These are all important, but honestly, sleep.
Yeah,
Get
yeah,
more
yeah.
sleep. Rock number two is exercise, and we talked about exercise extensively on last week's episode, so we won't
Yep.
massively recap it here.
Yeah.
But exercise is fundamental for your brain, not just your body. Okay, well, I think we always think about exercise as good for fitness, good for stamina, all that stuff, but it's also fundamentally important for your brain. Your brain links movement to learning and movement to survival, so it rewards you with endorphins for doing that thing. So we should need to make sure we're exercising every day, and that doesn't mean we're not going to be gatekeepers about exercise and the type of exercise that works. That's going for a walk. That's, whatever movement you enjoy doing, if that's dancing, if that's squash, if that's running, whatever it is that is fantastic for your brain. So do it every single day.
Amen. Exactly right. And again, very little to add. It's just get yourself moving. And this is an affliction that I suffer with in this current period of time in my life. That is something I'm neglecting in a way that I really shouldn't be. And that's me being open and honest and just saying, I feel so much. I don't feel as proud of myself. I don't feel like I'm in the best shape at the moment. And I think if you're having those battles and that inner dialogue and monologue in your head, I need to say to myself, as you guys need to say to yourselves, you can do it. You can do it, and you can turn the tide, start moving, start doing little things every day that's going to help you and support you. And if that just means as simple as I'm going to go for a walk for 20 minutes, that's going to help and support you. And once you do 20-minute walks for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, then you'll be more inclined to do a half an hour walk for the next few weeks. And you start to build up those habits. And I think, my short-term goals, and we talk a lot about goals, actual potential, my short to medium-term goals now is to get myself in a place where I feel much better about my body. And that's something I'm going to try and accomplish after meal inclusive. Because I ain't gonna do it in Greece, let me tell you.
Yeah, actually, Rock 13 is all inclusives in
Yeah,
Greece.
yeah. And
That's
that
one.
does do wonders for your
It's really
well-being, let me
important.
tell you.
Fun,
Oh
fantastic for
yeah.
your well-being. Okay, Rock 3, eat healthily. And this one is, again, I think one that's fairly obvious in terms of the body benefits, but obviously our brain benefits a lot from what we eat. We're not going to go into again, we'll go into a full episode on this at some point soon.
You all know
But
what a healthy diet is, you lot.
yes,
It's
exactly.
very well documented. It's not
It's
under
very,
researched,
yes.
is it?
Exactly, and I think that, but I also want to be very, very clear. In we often get, we had a very, very sweet year two tell us that she eats chocolate sometimes, and is that a problem?
Yeah.
And of course it isn't. Of course it's completely fine to have treats, to have chocolate, to have sweets. I am. I wish they would sponsor us. A huge fan of Colin the Caterpillar sweets. So
Oh, mate.
I mean, if I wasn't allowed them, my well-being would suffer. Let me tell you that for free. I love
100%.
that stuff, but I can't have it every day for every meal, and that's
No,
the point. It's
that's a
eating.
problem.
The way we describe it in schools, especially, is the reason that loads of fruit and vegetables are different colors is because they contain a bunch of different nutrients. You want to eat the rainbow, eat all of
Yeah.
the colors you possibly can, and not artificial colors, because obviously they make food very colorful and bright, like sweets and stuff. Eat natural bright colors and just eat around that stuff. But we're not talking, I'm not interested in talking about calorie deficits, calorie counts, protein amounts. I'm not doing all that. Just eat a wide range of food to get as many nutrients as possible.
For
And
sure.
that's a healthy diet. And don't just eat the same three things, and don't make them broccoli, chicken, and rice, because that's actually not a very healthy diet to be consistent on
No,
for a
for
long
sure.
time.
For sure.
Rock 4, be still. Now, this one is one that we get a fair amount of comments about because, oh, I can't be still. And I don't know if you've noticed ever watching the video for the podcast, that is something I suffer with as well. I
Yeah.
cannot hold still. I'm moving around. I'm
Oh,
sitting back. I'm sitting forward. I'm moving my hands around. I do this all the time, which I notice only through doing the podcast. I
you
do.
do that, yeah.
I don't notice that I do it in person, but now I'm noticing I'm doing it because I have to watch this back every week. But be still is not about being physically still. Being still is more about sitting in and noticing the brain state and the body state in any given moment. Okay, so listener, you can do this right now. Whatever you're doing right now, don't have to stop moving if you're walking somewhere, but just notice kind of how you're feeling right now. Are you tired? Are you stressed? Are you anxious? Are you happy? Kind of what feelings are bubbling up in you? Are you kind of how good was your sleep last night? What, are you looking forward to something in the future? Just noticing, kind of sitting. We talk about metacognition, sitting above your thoughts right now and noticing how we're feeling. Being still is often, we also call it mindfulness and meditation. You don't have to meditate necessarily, like sit there in silence and focus on your breathing, but that is a profound way of being still. It's just about noticing and catching your thoughts and feelings as they happen, because we live in brains can be quite chaotic, a lot of stuff happening all at once, and it can be quite hard to organize and notice, and you can feel quite frazzled even just in your head every single day. And with a barrage of emails and texts and kind of all that stuff happening at once, it can feel like quite a lot. So all being still is about is just sitting back for a second, focusing on our breathing, noticing how we're feeling at any given moment, and that's just kind of it. Because that profoundly, not only does it shift the localization of our neural firing to a different part of our brain, it also can loosen and our worries, for example. It can challenge sad thoughts because we've kind of noticed we're having them, and it's a super important part of understanding the emergent property of our body and brain, that we don't always notice when we're having a certain reaction to something. If we're sad, unless we are having a massively strong reaction, a massively strong sadness, we might not realize we're sad.
Hmm.
So just noticing that in the first place, because once you notice that I'm sad or I'm having a bad day, you can do something about it. You can talk to a friend. You can go and do it. You can go for a run. But noticing what's going on is how we can start to treat the problem or to challenge it, I guess.
Definitely. And I think it links so nicely into block number 6, which we're going to talk about in a minute, is yeah, that the power of noticing is fundamental to almost starting that journey of metacognition and becoming more aware of our present state. So yeah, said it exactly right. We'll talk number 6 in a second. Number 5 first.
Number 5 first. We'll do so. It's daydreaming. Daydreaming is really important, and I think that it often gets misconstrued as, oh, okay, I can sit in lessons at work, just daydream then. No, obviously not. but your brain has a whole part of a whole neural architecture that's dedicated to daydreaming every single day, and it's profoundly important for your brain to be able to daydream. So what we need to do is we make sure we're building in time to daydream. That's not when we need to be focusing, because obviously when we're doing boring stats question, or we're in a meeting that could have been an email, we are more likely to daydream because our brain would rather be thinking about anything else than that thing we're currently doing. But if we've already daydreamed, or we're going to daydream later in the day, we are less likely to do that. We wouldn't daydream in those moments, and it means that we are going to better focus on those important things we need to focus on more. So make sure you daydream, but daydream outside of the have to things you have to do, whatever those things are in your life.
100%. You're much more able to bring yourself back into like present mindfulness if you practice it in moments where you can afford to, because then when you inevitably find yourself doing it, when you're in a meeting, when you're in school, in a lesson you're not enjoying, you can actually catch yourself doing it much more effectively and bring yourself back into the room, so you're not missing that valuable presentation, you're not missing that valuable bit of learning. It's just a really nice handy little skill to be able to almost conquer, right? Because you can become someone that's really adept at finding yourself wandering, bringing yourself back into the room as quickly as possible. So you've missed the minimal amount that's going to not negatively affect you going forward, because you've been practicing this sort of thing outside of work, school hours.
Brilliant, man. Exactly right. Okay, so you already mentioned this one. Rock 6 is talking about our feelings, noticing our feelings, okay? And again, it's so important we do this because we all have feelings. You might not think you do, or you might be someone who says, oh, I don't get emotional. The neuroscience disagrees. You are having emotional reaction to things. What's important to understand is that they are different in every single person. The emotional reactions in each of us are fundamentally different based on a bunch of biological factors, but also cultural factors and how we've been raised, and the kind of sleep we had last night. Our emotions are never set; they're never the same. But it's really important we understand our own so that we can challenge them and change them, especially those negative emotions. If we notice we're sad or upset today, we can then do something about it. But if we don't know we're sad and upset, we're more likely to unknowingly pass that on to someone else, or unknowingly kind of partake in bad habits to try and get that dopamine reward that we haven't realized we're seeking because we're sad. So if we just cut out that whole process, oh, okay, I'm sad, and then also if we can try and notice maybe what caused it. Sometimes that's quite hard because sometimes we are just low on some days, and that's completely fine. But noticing maybe what the emotion is, what caused it, and then crucially, the third step, what can we do about it? We can always do something. If we change the position of our body and brain, do something, it will change the mind as a result of it. And as we said earlier, doesn't mean you can just make sad feelings go away. Obviously, it's more complicated than that, but you can alleviate and make it better and not just have to sit in that bath of sadness and pour more on top of yourself.
Exactly right, and I just think it's pertinent to discuss just briefly the skills of emotional regulation, which I feel always go hand in hand with this rock. So you've got three main skills of emotional regulation, right? Emotional agility, emotional granularity, and emotional hygiene. Okay, and all three definitions are closely linked, but they are separate. Emotional agility is just understanding, and this goes really intertwined with our rock number 6. Emotional agility states that we are aware of our constant shifting emotions. We are aware and consciously able to understand that one minute we feel like this, next minute we can feel like this. That's all that means, right? A sort of metacognitive state of being where we understand that we can change constantly, and be able to pinpoint those things is important. And then we've got emotional granularity, which is exactly that, pinpointing, linking an event to an emotion. This happened to me and it made me feel like this. That's an oversimplified version of it. But of course, in adult life, it can be much more complicated. These accumulation of things over the last 3 months has caused me to feel in this certain way. Okay, understand it, process it, action it. How can you support and defend how you feel in a much more healthier way? And then the last one is your emotional hygiene, okay, which is beginning to process your emotions. How do you do that? You can do it through journaling, you can do it through mindfulness, you can do it through just that inner dialogue and those conversations with yourself. Understand, notice, and make sure that all three of those things are something that you are aware of and, importantly, can action. Important things, those skills of regulation, important things.
Exactly right. Okay, rock 7, and this one, when we do this one in winter, it's always a bit of a harder sell. But you know what? The weather's been much better recently. So rock 7, walking outside in nature. I think this is one of those fairly self-explanatory ones. When the weather's nice, even when the weather's not nice, being outside has a profound effect on just calming us down. There's a bunch of other things it does as well, but just in engaging you into your parasympathetic nervous system and calming you down when you're having a stressful day, even if it's not a bad stressful day in terms of like you're having a really terrible day, but you've had a lot on. I remember this Tuesday, this last week, that I just had loads of stuff to do. I took myself 15 minutes, went for a little walk because there's a nice little park literally down the road. And I just went for the walk around the park and I just came back much more centered, much more calm. There's a bunch of neuroscience as to why that is. But the actual, just, I think this is something that most listeners hopefully are nodding their head going, yeah, you know what? After sometimes I just fancy a walk, and it's profoundly important. And this is actually one of those things that I think TikTok, there's a massive trend about like mental health walks. And yeah, it's exactly right. One of the few times that influencers say something about brains and it's actually correct. So there we go. Well done, guys. Walking outside of nature is really, really profoundly important for your brain. So do it every single day, even when it's wet and horrible and rainy. Sorry.
Spot on. Nothing to add really there. I think, yeah, it's like you said, we can all, again, that shared common experience. We all understand and appreciate that we're not meant to be cooped up inside all the time. And that can be a sense of forced isolation if you do that. So if you don't feel like going outside, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I need to go outside, because you're probably doing it for some reason that's helping you stay in a sort of mood congruent ruminatory state, perhaps. So fight against that urge and get yourself outside and you'll feel better for it.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Okay, Rock 8 music. This is one we've done an episode on, so go check back in for that one for a more in-depth look into it. But music does a bunch of things, as they always do. But one of the things it does is synchronize neural firing across your brain. So if you're a bit dysregulated, listening to some music will really help to make you just again calm down. It might regulate will regulate neural firing and help you feel in a much calmer space than you were before. Also, it's a good access to Rock 6. And music is really, really profoundly helpful for helping us access emotions. I know for me, there are a bunch of songs that access emotions that I otherwise can't necessarily access, or articulate feelings and emotions in ways that I wouldn't have expected to be able to. And it's profoundly helpful for your brain. It's quite a cathartic experience. Again, it feels like we're preaching to the choir with this one, because everyone's probably got a favorite artist, favorite music, and that connects to them, that speaks to them, and this is why it's good. And hopefully, something you're learning about the 12 Rocks, if you're seeing them for the first time on this episode or hearing about them for the first time, is, man, these actually all sound pretty fun. You know, we're trying not to give you chores here. These are all things that are profoundly important for your body and brain, but also they should be pretty fun to be achieving.
100%. And you'll look at the list when we put them up on the as a visual, and you'll be like, you can probably knock off 4, 5, 6 of those that you're already doing, and you might not be consciously aware of. And the power of making it a part of your conscious thinking is also huge, because you start to notice maybe some little tiny changes to mood, and when you do them and when you don't do them, and the hindrance that can be. So just by understanding that you're doing these things is powerful, and definitely just to notice is crucial.
Exactly right. Rock 9, we're almost there, people. We're doing really well. Pace
Yeah,
yourselves.
come on, gang.
Think of this like a marathon, eh? So Rock 9, this is basically kind of social health rock. It's friends and family. Good, strong connections with friends and family. This one can be a challenge for some people. I think
It's complicated, this one,
the
man.
complicated this one, because obviously, hopefully, you've got a lovely family and friendship group, but that's not the case for everyone, and that's not always, that's not often people's faults. It's more complicated than that. And if you listen to the last episode, you'll know that literally a couple months ago, I moved to a city where I had no kind of friends that lived nearby, basically, and I've had to kind of forge a new friendship group, and that took a little bit of time. And I'm very lucky to have a really close family. So and obviously Andy, even though he doesn't live in Brighton, I have friends and stuff that I could lean on, even though they weren't kind of in my immediate proximity. But you can feel quite isolated, and it's quite a difficult thing. But I think that for people who have experienced loneliness, or people who are lonely right now, or the profound impact that having friends has on your life, and so as much as you can, this is a great. If you're interested in this rock more, go back to last week's episode. We talked to Alice from Run the Lanes about creating community, and about crucially doing things you're nervous about, and putting yourself out there and doing it anyway, doing it scared, doing it in those environments, because that's a really profound way of creating those connections and creating those groups, because there are so many people out there who are also looking for the same kind of close friendship group as you. If you are someone who has not got that at the moment, go to your hobbies. What are your things to do? For example, book clubs. I love a book club. I love books. So I've joined multiple book clubs, and now I've got some really great friends through those book clubs. And running as well for me. I've joined a running club, and it's provided me loads and loads of friends, and now friends that we do other things that aren't running together in. So find your hobbies and you'll find your people if you put yourself out there. But you do need to put yourself out there, and that can be really difficult and really, really scary. But I think the neuroscience effects of social health are, again, they're probably fairly obvious to people because it's really, really important we do that. And I would say for people on the other end of it, you should also, if people make plans with you, stick to those plans. Again, we had a whole rant about this a few episodes back about kind of do the thing anyway. You know, if someone's made a plan with you and on the day you're like, man, I don't fancy that, I want to stay in and scroll on TikTok, it's much better for your brain to see your friend. It's much better for your brain to see your friend than to strengthen your meso limbic dopamine system. So go and see your friends, create new connections, and yeah.
And I think just to touch on the last point, you have to work at these friendships. You have to work at these relationships. Like they're not like I live quite far away from the people in my life that I'm associated with and I'm friends with. And like if I didn't put in the legwork and if they didn't reciprocate, then those friendships would just tail away and fall off. So you got to give it some because otherwise distance, working full time, family, so much is against maintaining a close friendship. So you have to actually give so much time and energy to those relationships to keep them going, to keep that fire lit, and just I don't see my friends that often, but when I do, it's lovely, man. We're going to Lake District and all, but like you have to work at them because otherwise they will just sort of go by the wayside
Exactly right.
and people will move on with their lives. So if it's worth it and that connection is meaningful for you, like for me, I know that when I see these are my people, man, and I feel amazing when I'm with them. So you've got to give time and energy to seeing them. Otherwise, like I said, life's busy. You will just sort of
Exactly.
trudging along without seeing them.
And it's a lot more convenient often to not see them now. It's a lot more convenient to text them, FaceTime them, and stay at home. It's really important we push past that because the effects are so profound. And yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Fantastic. Okay, Rock 10, kindness and thanks. Also a little bit of social health in here. But basically, kindness and thanks and gratitude is really profound for your brain, okay? Because to simplify it, and we'll go into this in a future episode, but your brain is built on narratives. Your brain is actually a prediction engine. This is going to get a bit wibbly wobbly, so do hold with me here for a second. But you weren't expecting this on Rock 10 of the 12 Rocks of Wellbeing. But if you think about your brain for a second, your brain is encased in a very, very dark, thick skull. All it is receiving is electrical signal inputs from your eyes and your ears and your other senses that are being transformed into some kind of version of experience of the world, right? So actually what's happening, and Anil Seth talks about this, the researcher, is kind of a controlled hallucination. Your brain is actually predicting every single thing around you and testing it against reality. And what this means is if we can rewire our brain, this is really complicated and I'm doing not an amazing job of simplifying it, but we will do this in a future episode. But if you basically rewire your brain to predict for more kindness and more thanks in the world, if you're kinder, if you're more grateful for things, you'll actually see more kindness in the world. And I think that is such an important thing to talk about at the moment because if you look at the news, it's pretty dark.
Yeah.
I think that general malaise of everything is terrible and getting worse is kind of there, and I can see why people think that. As dark as some of the news is, it's actually not all bad and getting worse. There's often there's beacons of light in all of it. But but in our own lives, if we have a negative bias, human beings have a negative bias as our base because it kept us alive. If we assumed everything was out to get us, was out here to attack us, we would be protected and safe from those things. But if we can rewire that sense in our brains to be more open to kindness, if we are more grateful and more kind to people, we'll also receive more greatness and kindness, because not only because people will be nice to us because you're nice to them, but also because our brain will actually be looking for it more in the world because that's the narrative it's repeating to itself. Again, that's a very complicated thing which we will go into in a future episode, but be kind to people, guys.
For sure. It's all about that pattern recognition, isn't it? It's like when you buy a new motor and you look and you're like, oh, everyone's got
Where did everyone get that car? Yeah.
Everyone's got this car. Like it's just because your brain will find the recognition and the predictability of those things. So that's again a simplified version of why
that is a much better way of describing it than I did. I went all to like the prediction engine kind of interpretive process thing. You were just like pattern recognition. This is why you're so good, man. That is exactly that is what I should have said. Just scrap what I said Listen to Andy, because that's exactly right. I mean, what I said is also correct, but also just confusing, and wibbly wobbly, for lack of a better
We
word.
need the wibbly wobbly man, otherwise this will have no substance whatsoever.
I don't know.
Please,
I
man.
don't know. I don't know. Okay, Rock 11. Do what you love. Again, an
Yeah.
absolute slam dunk of a rock, if you ask me. I
Yeah.
said slam dunk and I did a baseball home run. That's
Oh,
a mixed nurse
contradicting.
metaphors there. I know, unbelievable. But yeah, do what you love. Do what you love, and that can be, and I think, okay, I'm gonna cut off some categories of do what you love here because you do not love scrolling on TikTok. I'm afraid you
For
don't love
sure.
that. Your brain thinks you do. Fine, you can. I'm saying don't do whatever you want. But that's not what you love doing. What do you love doing? If it's creative, if it's exercise,
You're
whatever
not
it
gonna
is, if
say
it's
that's a hobby,
sport,
are you? If
it's not a
anyone says
hobby.
a hobby's on tick going on tick, like give
No,
your head a wobble.
it's not enough. I want
It's not
more. Give
enough.
me more. Do what you love. Do that every single day, and again, you'll feel better. It's really, really good for your brain to do that. You can reach a part. We talk about a thing called flow state, where you're getting so invested and involved in doing something that time just kind of disappears, and it's like, oh, it's been 5 hours, and I've been collaging. Like that's amazing, and we should do that. We should do that as much as we possibly can. So yeah,
Lovely, yeah, nothing really to add there. It's just like setting time aside to do things that you care about and want to give time and energy for. Like it's in a sort of creative endeavor and if you want to pursue this going forward in life, like yeah, you've got to give time and effort to skills, hobbies if you want to improve them and they give you a sense of joy and accomplishment. So it's worth doing for sure.
amazing. And finally, Rock 12: play, make, learn, create, and read. So this is really, really important. I often kind of simplify it to learning. Your brain is a learning machine. It loves to learn. Okay, because it's again, if we were to battle ontologically about what the brain is actually doing, it's learning everything, possibly repeating it to itself all the time. And it's the same process as learning. So it's learning all the time. So let's build in pockets of learning into every single day. Let's build in pockets of creativity every single day. Let's build in reading every single day to allow our brain, because novelty is a really, really important part for our brain. Our brain seeks novelty because, again, novelty is an evolutionary advantage. If we're constantly kind of changing positions, moving around as a species, we were more likely to survive. So your brain loves a bit of novelty. So provide that novelty to it every single day through the things you're doing, the things you're making, the things you're reading. So again, really, really profound for your brain to do every day.
Definitely. Yeah, exactly right. Nothing to add from me, my friend. All good and lovely and just good brain stuff.
Lovely stuff. Well, that's our 12 rocks. And I just want to say a final point on 12 rocks, and you can now see them if you're watching on YouTube, you can see them all on the screen. But I would also just like to say, and you might have noticed actually, oh, I can do a couple of these at the same time. Yeah, you can hit 5 or 6 of these even at once if if you really love running, for example, and you run with people, you're getting social health rocks in there, you're getting
Oh
your do what
yeah.
you love rocks in there, you're getting exercise in there, you're getting feelings in there, you're getting being outside in there. Like so you can do all these really, really quickly. And again, we don't want these to feel like chores. Sometimes some of them might feel like chores. Oh, I don't want to be still and think about how I feel right now. I don't want to talk to my friends about my feelings right now. Fine, but it is really, really good for your body and brain. And if we build these things into a habit, as we said at the start of the episode, it doesn't make the bad days perfect. It doesn't make it doesn't make every day perfect, but it does mean every single day. The neuroscience says 50% of how you feel right now is down to what you did yesterday.
Hmm.
So what you do today will change half of how you feel tomorrow. So if
100%.
you just do these 12 things today, you will feel better tomorrow, no matter where we're at. And that's
For
pretty
sure.
profound.
I
So
think so. And just be have that discipline and we have the awareness and the discipline to say, I don't feel like it today, but I know that it's gonna help me and it's not gonna help me if I don't. We always speak about those urges to do the thing that's easier, not necessarily
mm,
the thing that's most beneficial for you. Put yourself in a position to do the right thing. You might not be the easy option, but nothing in good in life is easy, right? It's not, and that's a cheesy sound bite that I don't really think means anything. But at the same breath, yeah, it's somewhat true. Like you got to work through things, and you have to be disciplined and have to be aware to make sure that you're giving yourself the best chance to feel good. It don't just come easy. You don't just wake up feeling good. You have to have done some things to give you the best chance to feel that way. So
exactly right, man.
get doing them, right? Get doing them.
Get doing them. And if you wanted to help track your rocks every single day, we have a free app that you can download on the App Store and the Google Play Store. There'll be a link in the show notes, and you can see a little visual on the screen for it. I might even put a QR code on the screen if I'm feeling really fancy.
Oh, mate,
So come and
serious
get your
stuff.
get your second screen out. Come and scan this right here.
Too
I'm going to
right.
assume I'm going to put it right here, and you can download the app for free, and it just lets you track your rocks every single day, and you can then do that stuff. And then if you want to dive deeper into the neuroscience of each single thing on the app, you can contact us to find out more. But also, if you have any questions about them, email the show. Get involved, and again, we will do an episode on all the rocks we haven't yet done an episode on at some point in the future. So subscribe, like, and subscribe, follow for more. All of the the taglines that YouTubers say now,
Oh yeah.
which I do include myself in. I identify as a YouTuber now.
Hey, there you go.
So yes, and again, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Next week we're back, and we're back on time, recording at the time. So I don't know what's happened in the 2 weeks since we've actually recorded an episode. Maybe we'll be really rusty. You'll see.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? But yes, thank you again for listening. And again, come and subscribe to YouTube, because we have that Friday show, Comments Corner, which comes out every Friday. We react to your comments. So send some comments in for us to react to and all that good stuff. But you're bored of the waffle now. You're bored of it. So just have a lovely rest of your week, and we will see you all very soon.
Blessings, guys. See you later. Nice one. Bye.